Y'all listen, when it comes to Claressa, I'm starting to get a little soft spot for her. I really am. I really feel sorry for her. The more
Y'all, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you just shattered one of the messiest celebrity fantasies on the internet. This is not a rumor. This is not a theory. This is the moment a love triangle collapsed in real time, and one woman walked away back in full control. For months, Claressa Shields proudly told the world she had stolen another woman's husband. My man, she said, over and over. Lives, posts, interviews. She flaunted him, claimed him, bragged about him, built an entire fantasy around a married man, and the internet watched like it was a reality show. But tonight, that fantasy is officially dead. Because according to explosive claims, Tasha K has now stepped forward and confirmed what social media only whispered in private. Papoose is gone, Claressa is out, and Remy Ma? Back in control. Sources say the same man Claressa was calling my forever secretly packed his bags, boarded a New York flight, and ran straight back to his wife. No goodbye. No explanation. Just silence. Ghosting. Ignored calls. A public meltdown playing out in front of millions. And here's where it gets dark. They say Claressa wasn't just dating him, she was copying his wife. Outfits, jewelry, travel spots, even poses. Fans are calling it obsession, fixation, stalking energy. And when she allegedly tattooed a married man's name on her body, the internet lost it. While Claressa spiraled, Remy Ma stayed silent, calm, untouched. Holidays with family, wedding ring still on, photos going viral. Same roof, same man. And now the final twist? Tasha K is allegedly revealing that Claressa was never the main woman. Never the chosen one. Never the future. Just a distraction, while the real marriage quietly pulled itself back together behind closed doors. This is not heartbreak. This is humiliation. This is obsession meeting reality. This is a fantasy collapsing in public. And tonight, we're breaking down how Claressa lost control, how Papoose played both sides, and how Remy Ma just won the most silent and savage comeback of the year. Stay right here, because this story only gets uglier from here.
apparently Claressa spent Christmas alone in the Louis Vuitton store, racking up about $30,000 in bills.
What started as a bold love story slowly transformed into one of the most humiliating public collapses the internet has witnessed in years. For months, Claressa Shields walked through social media with absolute confidence. In her mind, she wasn't hiding. She wasn't sneaking. She wasn't ashamed. She was winning. Winning a man. Winning attention. Winning a married husband. Every live stream, every caption, every interview carried the same message, subtle but unmistakable. This is my man. And the world watched. Not quietly, not politely, but obsessively. Because this wasn't just romance. This was a married man, a famous wife, and a third woman building a fantasy in front of millions. At first, fans treated it like entertainment. A messy triangle, a celebrity soap opera, something to laugh about, comment on, argue over, then scroll past. But slowly, the tone began to shift. Because what looked like confidence started to feel like obsession. Claressa wasn't just claiming a man. She was performing ownership. Every appearance became louder. Every post became bolder. Every caption felt like a challenge. And behind the scenes, something far darker was unfolding. According to claims now circulating online, the relationship Claressa believed was solid was never stable to begin with. While she proudly told the world she had secured another woman's husband, sources say the marriage she thought was over never truly ended. And the woman she believed she had replaced never lost control. Because while Claressa was building a fantasy in public, Remy Ma was rebuilding a marriage in private. And no one understood that better than the woman who would soon step forward and detonate the entire illusion. Tasha K. By the time Tasha K entered the narrative, the story had already begun cracking from the inside. Fans had started noticing inconsistencies, moments that didn't add up, questions that refused to go away. Why was Claressa always alone on holidays? Why did Papoose disappear for days at a time? Why did every public moment feel staged? And most importantly, why did this relationship always look like a performance instead of a partnership? Then came the live stream, the moment that quietly shifted the entire narrative.
So I felt sorry for Claressa when she was in there blowing a bag, $30,000, and then she had to take the bag to Papoose.
That single statement changed everything. Because according to Tasha K, the luxury Claressa was flaunting wasn't coming from a man. It was coming from herself. The designer bags, the expensive gifts, the glamorous surprises on camera. Tasha K alleged that Claressa was buying her own luxury items, then handing them to Papoose so he could gift them back to her on camera, creating the illusion that he was spoiling her. Not just romance, not just love, but performance, manufactured affection. And suddenly, the story wasn't about stealing a husband anymore. It was about financing your own fantasy. Fans immediately rewound clips. Screenshots resurfaced. Moments once dismissed as cute suddenly looked staged. The surprise reactions, the forced smiles, the awkward pauses. And then the most dangerous realization of all began spreading quietly across comment sections and private chats. What if Claressa wasn't the one being chosen? What if she was the one being used? Because according to the same claims, the man Claressa thought she had secured wasn't just emotionally unavailable. He was financially dependent. And allegedly, already living off women long before her. Tasha K didn't stop there. She went further. Much further. Sources say this wasn't the first time Papoose had recycled gifts. Not the first time he had rewrapped jewelry. Not the first time he had presented items bought by women as proof of his devotion. And suddenly, a pattern began to form. A married man, multiple women, and a lifestyle funded by whoever believed in him the most. And Claressa? According to these claims, she wasn't the exception. She was the latest chapter. Meanwhile, while Claressa was busy staging romance online, reality was moving in a completely different direction. Because behind closed doors, something far more devastating was taking place. The marriage everyone believed was over was quietly reassembling. No announcements, no statements, no interviews, just actions. And the first sign? A flight. Sources claim Papoose suddenly packed his bags, booked a New York ticket, and disappeared. No goodbye posts. No affectionate captions. No explanations. Just silence. Claressa's live streams continued. Her captions stayed confident, but her energy began to shift. Subtle at first, then obvious. Missed calls, unanswered texts, public reassurance that felt forced. And then, the internet noticed something terrifying. Claressa was no longer celebrating. She was chasing. And that's when the obsession accusations exploded. Fans began compiling comparisons. Side-by-side photos, matching outfits, identical poses. Same jewelry, same boots, same hairstyles, same captions, even similar locations. People weren't calling it coincidence anymore. They were calling it imitation, fixation, and in darker corners of social media, stalking energy. Because Claressa didn't just admire Remy Ma. According to online speculation, she was studying her, mirroring her, replacing herself with her, trying to become her. Then came the tattoo. The moment that permanently changed public perception. A married man's name, etched into skin, while he was still legally someone else's husband. The reaction was immediate. Shock, mockery, concern. Fans didn't see romance. They saw desperation. They didn't see loyalty. They saw delusion. And the contrast was brutal. Because while Claressa permanently marked her body for a man who wouldn't publicly claim her, that same man already carried his wife's name on his skin. Remy Ma's name. Permanent. Legal. History. And suddenly, Claressa didn't look chosen. She looked trapped inside a fantasy she created and could no longer escape. By the time Detroit appearances started making headlines, the meltdown was impossible to hide. Courtside games, security interventions, overdramatic entrances, forced smiles. Claressa appeared everywhere. But Papoose? Nowhere. And Remy Ma? Calm, silent, untouched. Family photos surfaced. Holiday gatherings, matching rings, the same roof, the same family, the same man. And then, the final confirmation began to circulate.
Now, this ain't the first time broke Papoose, because Remy told us he was broke.
And in that moment, the entire narrative collapsed. This was never a fairy tale. This was never a takeover. This was never Claressa winning. According to these claims, she was funding the illusion, performing the romance, protecting the fantasy, while the real marriage was quietly pulling itself back together. And the most painful realization of all? Claressa wasn't losing a man. She was losing control. Publicly, emotionally, financially. Because while she believed she was becoming the main woman, the real wife was never replaced, never removed, never defeated. And as part 1 closes, one truth now dominates every corner of the story. This was never a love triangle. This was a distraction. And in next part, we expose how the reunion happened, who orchestrated the silence, and why Claressa's collapse was never an accident. It was inevitable. By the time the internet realized something was wrong, the damage had already been done. Claressa Shields was no longer celebrating. She was no longer glowing. And she was no longer convincing. The same woman who once stood online declaring victory now appeared restless. Her lives became longer. Her captions became defensive. her energy anxious. And behind that carefully filtered confidence, a dangerous truth was forming. Because according to multiple sources, the man Claressa believed was building a future with her had already chosen his past. Quietly, strategically, without warning. While Claressa continued performing romance on camera, Papoose had already begun pulling away. Calls unanswered, messages ignored, travel plans cancelled. And the most telling sign? Holidays. Because when holidays arrived, Claressa was alone. Luxury shopping, designer bags, empty rooms, and Papoose with his wife, with his children, with his family. And that's when the internet's tone shifted from entertainment to alarm. Because this wasn't a breakup. This was abandonment. But the most brutal part? Claressa didn't realize it yet. She was still defending him, still claiming him, still protecting a man who was already emotionally gone. And that's when Tasha K returned, not with sympathy, but with warning.
Because he's playing you, Rissa.
Those 4 words landed like a quiet explosion. Not screamed, not dramatic, but devastating. He's playing you. Because in that moment, Tasha K wasn't attacking Claressa. She was exposing reality. And what followed was the most humiliating revelation of the entire saga. According to claims now circulating, Claressa wasn't just emotionally invested. She was financially carrying the relationship. Luxury purchases, designer luggage, expensive gifts. Not from him, from her. But the internet didn't realize the full extent until one detail surfaced that shattered everything. A receipt. A Louis Vuitton receipt. And suddenly, the entire illusion collapsed. Sources allege that Claressa had gone shopping alone, purchased a luxury duffel bag herself, posted the receipt online, then handed the same bag to Papoose, so he could gift it back to her on camera, as proof of his devotion. Not romance, not generosity, theatrics, performance, manipulation. And when that detail went public, the narrative flipped overnight. Because Claressa wasn't being spoiled. She was sponsoring her own fantasy.
A Louis Vuitton duffel bag, and it's like, did she just give him the gift to give to her to act like the things that we're telling her that he ain't got no money? He is gifting you his jewelry. He is gifting you your stuff that you're...
That statement detonated across social media. Clips replayed. Screenshots circulated. Fans froze videos frame by frame. And suddenly, every surprise reaction looked rehearsed. Every thank you sounded forced. Every gift moment, fake. The woman who once claimed she had stolen a husband had been buying her own proof of love. And the man she defended so fiercely, allegedly living off her money, while rebuilding a marriage somewhere else. But the humiliation didn't stop there. Because as Claressa spiraled, the internet noticed something even more disturbing. She wasn't just losing a man. She was losing her identity. Fans began analyzing her behavior with surgical precision. The outfits, the poses, the captions, the jewelry, the travel locations, and then the comparisons. Side-by-side images of Claressa and Remy Ma began flooding timelines. Matching boots, matching jackets, matching hairstyles, even matching facial expressions. And slowly, the narrative changed from affair to imitation, from confidence to fixation, from romance to psychological collapse. Because Claressa wasn't just chasing a man anymore. She was chasing a woman, trying to replace her, trying to become her, trying to override a marriage that never truly ended. And the tattoo. That tattoo changed everything. A married man's name, permanently etched into skin, while he was still legally bound to another woman. The internet didn't call it love. They called it irreversible. Because when that relationship collapsed, the mark would remain. A permanent reminder of a fantasy that never belonged to her. And the cruelty of it all? The same man already carried his wife's name on his body. Remy Ma's name. Permanent. Public. Real. While Claressa was left holding ink. And illusions. Then came the moment no one could deny. The reunion. Silent. Unannounced. But undeniable. Photos emerged. Holiday gatherings. Family dinners. Matching rings. Same home. Same man. And suddenly, the story the internet believed for months collapsed in seconds. Because Papoose hadn't chosen Claressa. He had returned. To his wife. To his family. To the life he never truly left. And Claressa? Left alone. Publicly. Emotionally. Financially. And here's where the story turns truly tragic. Because Claressa didn't disappear. She didn't heal. She didn't step back. She doubled down. More lives. More posts. More public reassurance. But the energy had changed. Desperation replaced confidence. Defensiveness replaced pride. And the internet stopped laughing. They started worrying. Because this was no longer drama. This was collapse. Fans began leaving comments that cut deeper than any rumor. This is addiction. She lost herself. She sacrificed her dignity for attention. And worst of all, she never stood a chance. Because according to everything now circulating, Claressa was never the main woman. Never the future. Never the chosen one. She was the distraction. The temporary escape. The sponsored fantasy. While the real marriage quietly repaired itself in silence. And the final twist? Remy Ma never fought publicly. Never clapped back. Never explained. She waited. Stayed calm. Stayed patient. Stayed in control. While the internet tore Claressa apart, Remy rebuilt her family. And now, wedding ring still on. Holidays together. Family intact. Marriage reclaimed. The winner of this triangle never raised her voice. Never defended herself. Never performed online. She simply waited. And took everything back. One truth now dominates this story. Claressa didn't lose a man. She lost a fantasy she paid for, protected, and destroyed herself trying to keep alive. We expose what happened after the reunion, why Claressa's meltdown intensified, and the final receipts that prove. This collapse was never sudden. It was always coming. By the time the internet realized the reunion was real, Claressa Shields had already lost the most important battle of her life. Not publicly, not dramatically, but internally. Because while fans were still debating timelines, receipts, and rumors, Papoose was already back under the same roof as his wife. No announcement. No apology tour. No explanation. Just presence. And sometimes, presence is the loudest confirmation of all. For weeks after the supposed breakup, Claressa tried to maintain control. She posted as if nothing had changed. She spoke as if she was still chosen. She smiled as if her world wasn't collapsing behind the scenes. But those closest to the situation claimed something chilling. Claressa wasn't being left behind. She was being erased. Messages stopped. Plans disappeared. Promises evaporated. And slowly, painfully, reality replaced fantasy. Then came the moment Tasha K finally dropped the confirmation no one wanted to hear. The reunion wasn't rumor. It wasn't theory. It wasn't wishful thinking. It was already done. Time frame, 7:03 to 7:09. That sentence ended everything. Not speculation. Not possibility. Evidence. Christmas. Family. Together. While Claressa was shopping alone. Spending her own money. Posting her own fantasies. The man she believed was building a future with her was already back where he belonged. With his wife. With his child. With his family. And suddenly, the entire timeline became clear. According to claims, the reunion was never impulsive. It was calculated. Quiet. Strategic. Because Papoose didn't confront Claressa. He didn't explain himself. He didn't announce anything. He simply withdrew. And reappeared. In Remy Ma's life. And the most devastating part? Claressa found out the same way the internet did. Through silence. Through absence. Through other people's photos. And that's when the meltdown truly began. Not on camera. Not in interviews. But in behavior. Claressa's energy changed. Her posts became erratic. Her captions defensive. Her lives emotional. Fans noticed tears behind filters. Anger behind smiles. Desperation behind confidence. Because this wasn't heartbreak. This was humiliation. And then, the final warning dropped. Not as gossip. Not as opinion. As prophecy.
So I don't know whose team you think I'm on, but I'm on your team. And like I said, Papoose and Remy spent time together on Christmas. I got pictures of them together. I ain't even dropped those yet.
Those words now echo through this entire story. Because according to insiders, Claressa wasn't the first woman to fund him. She wasn't the first to protect him. She wasn't the first to believe in him. She was simply the loudest. The most visible. The most public. And therefore, the most destroyed. Behind the scenes, sources say Remy Ma never panicked. Never rushed. Never fought publicly. She didn't compete. She didn't copy. She didn't perform. She waited. And while Claressa exhausted herself chasing attention, Remy quietly reclaimed her marriage. One holiday at a time. One family dinner at a time. One private conversation at a time. Until eventually, the man returned. Fully. Silently. Permanently. And here's where the story becomes psychologically devastating. Because Claressa didn't just lose a relationship. She lost an identity. For months, she had reshaped her public image around one man. My man. My future. My forever. Every post. Every interview. Every appearance. All centered around proving she had one. But when that fantasy collapsed, so did the version of herself she had created. And the internet watched it happen in real time. Fans began noticing something chilling. Claressa stopped copying Remy. She started chasing ghosts. Old outfits. Old captions. Old memories. As if recreating the past might somehow restore the future. But the truth was merciless. The reunion was done. The marriage repaired. The triangle dissolved. And Claressa? Left holding tattoos, receipts, screenshots. And a story no one admired anymore. Meanwhile, Remy Ma never said a word. No interviews. No statements. No victory laps. Just life. Family photos. Holiday dinners. Wedding rings still shining. The same house. The same man. The same marriage. And in that silence, she delivered the most brutal message of all. I never left. The internet quickly crowned a winner. And it wasn't the loudest voice. It wasn't the boldest caption. It wasn't the woman who tattooed a married man's name on her skin. It was the woman who waited and got everything back. As Claressa's meltdown intensified, fans stopped calling her confident. They called her tragic. They stopped calling her bold. They called her broken. And the most painful realization slowly spread across comment sections. Claressa didn't lose because she loved too hard. She lost because she believed in illusion, funded it, defended it, and destroyed herself trying to protect it. And Papoose? According to the same claims, he walked away untouched. No reputation damage, no accountability, no consequences. He returned to his marriage, to stability, to security, leaving behind chaos, and a woman publicly unraveling. As this story closes, one truth stands above everything else. This was never about love. It was about control, power, ego, and silence. Claressa chased attention. Remy mastered patience. Papoose exploited both. And in the end, the loudest woman lost. The quietest woman won. And the man simply walked back into the life he never truly abandoned. Because in celebrity scandals, the real winners are never the ones trending. They're the ones who never had to explain anything at all. And now, this is where the story stops being entertainment and starts becoming a warning. Because what you just witnessed was not a breakup. It was a public execution of a fantasy. A woman built a dream around a married man. She funded it. She defended it. She tattooed it into her skin. And when reality finally arrived, it didn't knock. It erased her. Claressa didn't lose because she wasn't good enough. She lost because she believed a man who never intended to leave his wife. She lost because she trusted attention more than truth. She lost because obsession blinded her to the oldest lesson in celebrity history. If he can betray his wife for you, he will betray you for silence. And while Claressa unraveled in front of millions, Remy Ma never raised her voice, never begged, never competed. She waited. And patience quietly took back everything. A marriage, a family, a man, a reputation. Meanwhile, Claressa was left with receipts, screenshots, tattoos, and humiliation, proof of a relationship that only existed in her imagination. And the most chilling part of this entire story? The man walked away untouched. No accountability, no consequences, no confession. Just another woman emotionally destroyed, while he returned to comfort, stability, and silence. So before you call this drama, understand what you just saw. This is what betrayal looks like when it's slow. This is what manipulation looks like when it smiles. This is what obsession looks like when it ends in public collapse. And now I want to hear from you. Was Claressa ever a victim? Or was she complicit in her own downfall? Did Papoose play both sides? Or did everyone get exactly what they deserved? And is Remy Ma the real winner, or simply the quiet survivor of a dangerous game? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because this story is not over. More receipts are coming, more names are circling, and the next chapter, maybe even darker than the one you just watched.